everybody, so we're back talking some more Secret Invasion on the channel with episode 4. We are now officially past the midway point of the season, and usually, more often than not with these Disney Plus Marvel shows, episode 4 usually is a pretty good one, so I was very excited on where we would take the story in this because we continue to ramp up the intrigue pretty much every single week, even if episode 3 probably was my least favorite of the bunch. Considering the reveals that we got last week, one of them being that Gravik is creating Super Skrulls to take out the world, and he's even one himself, has me nervous on how Nick Fury and Talos can even take him out. And then that other reveal at the very tail end that Gaia gets shot, so we have to just ponder all week long if she survived or not. I was on the side of she did survive, but still, it was a lot of stuff to take in leading into this week's episode, along with Nick Fury's wife going on her own little rogue mission. Well, I'm fairly torn on episode 4 because I certainly wouldn't say it's an awful episode by any means, but when it comes to the story at large, there are some parts of it that I just don't feel like it has as much of an impact as they would like it to, mainly in the reveals category. The reveals in this week's episode don't have as much of an impact as I think they initially wanted them to. Many of them were telegraphed a long time ago, which we will get into, but even starting off the episode, we open up with Gaia actually being alive. We pretty much all assume that she did not die before she was shot by Gravik. Turns out before she left the facility, she went and turned herself into a Super Skrull. So now we have a couple Super Skrulls, for sure. We know there's going to be more, but we know Gravik is one, and now Gaia is one. So that's kind of cool that we're going to continue to give her more powers, I guess. Another big thing going into episode 4 is who exactly was Priscilla on the phone with. The voice very much sounded like Rhodey, but you never know. Turns out, obviously, it was Rhodey, or a Skrull portraying Rhodey. I mean, it is so blatantly obvious at this point that this is the Skrulliest Skrull of all time because he is not acting like Rhodey whatsoever. All of his actions, his mannerisms, he comes off so much more sadistic than the Rhodey that we know and love as a character. And, you know, he called Nick Fury Nick last week. And we all know, apparently, that none of his friends call him Nick. The cherry on top of all this suspicion, though, is when Rhodey goes to tell Priscilla that she needs to kill Nick Fury, or basically, she's going to die. One of them has to die in this situation, so make your choice. A lot of the stuff swirling around Rhodey being a Skrull, I just wish was executed better. This is supposed to be a spy thriller, and you want to be on your toes, keeping you guessing, and I think pretty much everybody, ever since Rhodey clocked in on screen, we pretty much all knew he was a Skrull. He's pretty much the only major character in the show that would have been a kind of cool surprise to tie into the rest of the universe, and he just was always a suspect. He's the only suspect, really. One thing I do want to know, however, is Rhodey a fan of WWE, or is this Skrull a fan of WWE? Because they referencing DDTing somebody off the top rope and Undertakering somebody. Going back to the possibility of Nick Fury's wife killing him, it was kind of devastating when they sit down at the table and discuss everything. It also proposes some fascinating ideas on how his wife chose her human form from a woman who died. If there is a silver lining to this discussion, I do love the parallel that the two make between the poem that Priscilla discusses earlier on in the flashback to the situation they're going through right now. Also, the major positive, they don't shoot each other. It seemed like the big theme in episode 4 was people having awkward conversations. We had the awkward conversation between Priscilla and Nick Fury. Now we have one between Talos and Gaia. It is nice to see her embrace being on her father's side in this war, but the solutions to their problems, they really gotta find one of those, and it seems like Talos just does not have a great idea. He just wants to appeal to the humans as they've been doing for all of these decades, and it has not really served them very well. So honestly, I don't know if I can really blame Gaia for still being frustrated with her father, given the fact that they still don't have a home for the Skrulls, and they're not really doing much to change it, while Gravik actually is, even though he's, you know, the bad guy. It was genuinely amusing to continue to see Fury poke and prod at this version of Rhodey that's a Skrull, because I think it's very evident to him that he's a Skrull, but there are some conundrums that play because it's kind of hard to prove, I imagine. Mainly, I assume due to his presence in the government, because he definitely has his claws synced in near the president. Given even that when Fury tries to press the issue, you have this Skrull Rhodey try to blackmail Nick Fury to keep quiet, showing him that clip of the Skrull as Fury killing Maria Hill. I have to imagine in some shape or form there's a way to dispute the legitimacy of that footage though, because I'm sure there's probably some other camera that could showcase another Nick Fury somewhere in the area, but we're rolling with it. Once we saw Rhodey going off with the president, who also is suspicious of Rhodey, ironically, I knew all hell was going to break loose, and it did when Gravik and his men ambushed them. It pretty much is your standard shootout. There isn't anything groundbreaking about this shootout. To me, the coolest part of this entire sequence is when Talos is slowly changing back into a Skrull while he's trying to save the president. Not only that, but when Gravik actually shapeshifts back into himself and gets shot in the face by Nick Fury after he stabs Talos, and you see the extremists at work trying to save his body pretty much. Honestly, I'm kind of still in disbelief on the potential that Talos actually did die. I don't want it to be true. I want it to be another situation like his daughter last week, where next week he's fine, but unfortunately, I don't really think that's the case. I think that would really suck if we killed off Talos in this way, but it would boost Nick Fury as a motivation to take out Gravik in these last few episodes, so I don't know. I think it's a pretty lame way to take out Talos because he has been such a great character if that's the way they choose. But yeah, we got 2 episodes left. Things are still continuing to heat up, but definitely unsure exactly where the direction we're heading for these last 2 episodes exactly. But I've heard my thoughts on episode 4 of Secret Invasion. Make sure you share your thoughts down below. What'd you think of this week's episode? Did you like the episode? Did you not like the episode? Share your thoughts down below on the episode and any theories you think we're going to go into episode 5 for. Because part of the fun is have the conversation with you guys in the comment section down below. Thank you guys also, as always, for checking out the reviews. I always do appreciate it. Make sure you like on the video and also subscribe to the channel so you update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Next time, I'll see you guys later.